Alright.
Welcome to the podcast, Between Two Motor Mounts. Or between two engines. Between
clusters.
Splitting the block.
Between clusters and ducks.
So, Jesus, dude. I can't believe you did all this while I was putting on drag makeup. I mean, I know drag makeup takes a while, but... So...
I had nothing else to do.
What are you going to do with the hubs?
The hubs were running into the issue of I can buy the micro stub, which is used in a lot of the sandrails and other cars. It's a stub axle that goes to the Porsche 930 CV, which is 108 mil. The downside to that is I would have to go to a 27 spline shaft, custom length, to another 930, which race prep ones are about $100 a piece. So you're looking at $400 in just CVs, and another 200 or so in good axles. And then the hubs, the stubs, are about $150 each. So just to get from transmission to hub using the Corvette hubs, which are, I have a toddler upstairs.
That sounded more like a 100-pound
anyway,
treat.
It's roughly about $800 just for axles, pretty much. And then that doesn't include my calipers, my brake rotors and all that.
Okay, so cheap route.
Cheap route is I can copy the factory 818 upper control arms that they use on the front of the 818 cars, which basically uses the Subaru lower control arm, which ball joint on some of them come from the control arm into the hub. So we've got that on all four lowers. The upper is normally a McPherson mount, so it clamps around, and then the whole thing swivels. The whole strut turns. They have a little bracket that goes on there and has a ball joint thing on top. Granted, it uses a different upper control arm than these, because these, the ball joint is on the hub, on the knuckle. So you can see here, ball joint is connected up here instead of in here going up. Or on the factory 5, it's actually connected in here, and this it sits on top and it goes in. But anyway, I don't have a WRX hub or spindle here to show as an example. But I was thinking about it. I was looking at some of the off-road stuff because, you know, I do like four-wheel drive and all that, and they have these big Uniballs. They call them Uniballs. Not the pen.
That's what my girlfriend calls me.
But basically it's a ball joint, but there's a rod through it. So you have a double shear. So basically you can, long story short, I'm looking at copying the WRX knuckle, but I'm going to make it with uniball joints, and granted they're expensive, they're $80 a piece. I might be able to get away with the front running adapters because it's still narrower, but the rear, you know, it's not super important for it, and I'd have to make upper control arms and lower control arms. But for the rear, that's easy enough, because they're just, you know, bushing mounts. I cannot talk to save my life. Anyway, it's a little bit safer than Heim joints, and they're uniballs, and it's a double shear. You still get, you know, you can run them vertically for super travel because they just pivot like a Heim joint. Of course, I don't have enough here. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is just a Heim joint and a bung. The Uniball has a big, thicker sleeve, and they're about 2 inch thicker, so I don't even know if they can see this.
Who cares? It's not about them.
Not about them. It is about them. Anyway,
They're
the
watching
Uniball.
to see our sexy asses, not the car content.
Well, then you better show up and drag one day. Anyway, the Uniball.
Catch me on Halloween.
Uniball.
Video coming soon.
Hey, I'm gonna be out of town for 2 weeks before Halloween, so you're on your own. Anyway, Uniball's about this big. It's a bigger ball, and a lot of them are rebuildable. So, you know, steering wise, with a Heim joint and this setup where this is the control arm, you know, it just rotates around this.
Yeah.
And then your up travel is limited by your misalignment joint in this. So I mean, that's more up travel than I need on this car. Now, if you did it this way, your up travel is unlimited, but your steering is limited like this.
Ah.
But with the Uniballs and them being
But you could run that in the back.
Yes, with them, I still have to run a tie rod link to keep rear toe.
Yeah.
But that's normal on the Corvette. I'm not too worried about that. Running them this way, you know, you can get enough steering. You know, it's pushing it. But with the Uniballs, it is bigger because I mean this maxes out.
Because it's bigger, you have more angle.
You can have more angle, yes. And strength-wise, they seem to be plenty strong.
We gonna find out.
And then the later, like I believe 2012 or 2010 on WRX hubs aren't the press-in hub style like we had to fight with on your Legacy. They're the 4 bolt-in that 1 bolt offset. So you can run a 1/4-inch plate that bolts to that, have 1 beam, and then have these weld in. Or you could even have them on the control arms and have a double shear come off the hub and then have the pin go through.
And attach on.
So that way you get your up and then you get your rotate. That way, you know, you can do that. And then from that 1/4-inch plate, you can put your steering arm where you want to correct the Ackerman, which we mentioned in a previous video. Because those are just 1/2-inch heim joints right there.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be anything to, you know, adapt.
Something up with a bigger, yeah.
It wouldn't be anything to make new tie rod ends. I mean,
because you made these.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be anything to do that. It's just, it's a lot of legwork to get all the parts. I mean, I can fund the Uniballs. That's no biggie. But I've got some WRX calipers and brand new rotors. I've got rear and front. I would like to, but I need to get 4. Oh, I don't need to get 4. Yeah, all rusty because I've been sitting in here for I don't know how long.
Well, that's because you haven't picked this
well,
project
if you grab the second one that's all nice and clean under it, the other 2 are in the bags back there. It's semi-clean.
Considering this project's been sitting since 2016.
This project's been sitting since before the flood because I parked it.
Well, it ran.
It ran
before the flood.
Before the flood.
It was a ripper, man. It was a little ripper.
It was fun until you do a launch and the fire extinguisher goes off. Wyatt was there for that. Wyatt's cursed. Wyatt's the guy with the nunchucks in the previous video, and the socks and flip-flops.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But anyway, back to balls and heims.
It's like a Friday.
This is actually the main one. No, this isn't the main one. I've got a set of stock trailing arm for WRX, but I don't have the setup to run it, and my wheelbase is too long. I'd have to do a lot to run WRX rear hubs on this. And also, since I'm running a WRX transmission up front, and if I use the front hubs in the rear, which, you know, ball joint on top and bottom is normally they have the 4 lateral link setup so that the rear doesn't want to, you know, turn in, turn out. You adjust your toe with the inner link, has a little bit of a adjuster on it. And there's that 1 bar that goes through the whole bottom. Do you remember those? Anyway, the axles for WRX don't match front and rear. One's a 24 spline, one's a 27 spline. And the fronts have different CV joints than the rears because the rears just go forward. They don't turn. They just go with suspension travel. So they have like a straight cut 8-ball pack CV joint. I've got one around that I can actually show. They're dirty, but get over it. This is a budget production.
Couldn't tell.
So, I think Factory 5 sends custom axles because they run the rear hubs in the rear, and the custom axles are cut to accept the front inner CV and the rear outer CV, but I'm not that. They don't like me enough to send me one. I know Kai's got one that I'm supposed to be working on. I'm sorry, Kai. Anyway, this is the stock rear. As you can see, it's 8-ball. A lot of the Corvette rear axles run this 8-ball setup because they're straight cut. They're just meant for a little bit of up and down with suspension geometry. They're not meant to be your turning in, you know, angle. These bigger 6-ball ones, these are the ones that you can see they'll still work at an angle like this when you're turning.
Wait, you're not trying to keep this thing all-wheel drive, are you?
No.
Okay.
That was That is a possibility for.
I mean, you're running a Subaru transmission.
Yes, but I'm not running a reverse ring and pinion anymore. I had to sell that to
fund
other things. Thank you, Chris, for funding that. And I hope it's going great in your swap over there. I need to come see you guys. He's got a Baja I want to get a hold of. But
A Subaru Baja, the little truck.
no, if I could find one of those, it'd go on the 1-ton frame.
Ooh, like the older one. That'd be cool.
No, you mean the Brat?
Yeah, the Brat.
Brat's
Subaru
too small
Brat.
for that. I want the 4-door Baja to put on with 40s and 1-tons. For another day.
For another year.
Shut up. Year's almost over. This year sucks anyway. So yeah,
Thank you, quarantine, for getting you started on this project again.
No, actually, it was like I didn't start on this project till it's on the list. August
Yeah.
is when I started working on this again.
You've been flying through it.
Well, I figured since I never got called to go back to work, I might as well do something.
Screw those guys. They don't know what they're missing.
No, it was actually a pretty fun job. But anyway, on to other news. So yeah, I can get the plate. I just gotta get the Uniballs and maybe get Joey to CNC plasma cut me some brackets once I can. I'll make it out of whatever beforehand and mock up, but
What were you telling me about Dodge Intrepid?
that was another option to run different wheels because the Corvette wheels are 5 on 120 point whatever. Dodge Intrepid have the same triangular bolt pattern as the hub on the Corvette, and they run 33 spline, which is Corvette runs 30 spline or 33 spline. It depends what year it is. Annoying.
So they're more common.
They're more.
Well,
It's
cheaper.
not necessarily
if you
more
get
common. It's the same strength. Yes, Corvette hubs have the same strength as a Dodge Intrepid. Nice. But the wheel pattern's different.
And you're gonna
The
have to
bolt
run
pattern.
17s to clear the knuckle back there.
Yeah, and I don't want to, so that's why I'm thinking about building the Uniball hubs because I
You don't
can.
want to run 17s? Run
No.
some 20s.
No, like I want to run like 15-inch steelies ideally, but 16-inch steelies will probably end up being it.
I want to run 16-inch Stevies too.
Okay. But I know I can. The thing is, if I run the Corvette setup, I have to run at least a 17-inch wheel, and as we saw, it barely clears the top of that knuckle. And Corvette calipers are expensive, and they're not even that great. Like if they were the monoblock, 4-piston. Yeah, but that's still $1,000 for a set of calipers.
Yeah. You've already got.
And if I do this
big
custom
rotors.
hub, I can run Willwoods, because it's just make the mount, or I could just run the WRX stuff and then upgrade to Brimbos later. Wink, wink. I know which one of you has a whole bunch of them. Not gonna call any names out, but
Somebody's got a stash of Brimbos.
I know a few people have like warehouses of Subaru parts.
Who's holding out on the build?
Not calling any names. I don't
Pay
even.
your dues.
No, he doesn't even
Sponsor
watch
us.
He doesn't even watch it.
Sponsor. That's what you need.
Right. Now a word from our sponsors.
Now a
It's just
word
my
from our
dog
sponsors.
barking at the raccoon again.
And I'll say Feral Calhoun sponsors you. Not officially, unofficially, officially sponsoring you right now. Scotch Brite pads. That's my contribution.
Right. But if you do need Subaru parts, Saheed Persad on Facebook is your man, because I'm always jealous of how many parts he goes through. So
Where does he find them all? What does he do?
he just acquires a lot of Subarus and parts a lot out. So
We need more space.
no, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
We don't.
I do.
The mule needs to go home. But more on that later. But yeah, today my air compressor's still down, so I can't bend that main hoop. Which actually I need to wait until I make that main hoop before we take the body off
Mm-hmm.
and do a full weld. I've got to do some front geometry strengthening anyway.
You should have told me yesterday. I would have brought the air compressor with me.
Oh well.
We could have at least gotten that done.
Well, yesterday was kind of a cluster with the hurricane,
Got
Luckily,
decimated.
we got a downpour the day before, which I got some water almost in the shop.
Check previous video. To see how crooked the parish is.
That's a private video. That's not going public yet.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So,
Well,
unless you're a lawyer.
if you're a
don't
lawyer,
ask.
get in touch with us because we're trying to sue the city.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
No, we're not. He doesn't even live here.
crooked politicians.
That's his opinion, not mine. I'm still neutral until I'm trying to be an adult. Don't make me armor-plated bulldozer. Anyway,
That's what we're
where?
doing this? I thought we were getting the machine gun. And
No, that has a machine gun.
It does, but it doesn't move fast enough.
If it goes 40 with no brakes. You keep throwing me off. What was I getting? What was I saying?
Hubs, Dodge Intrepid, Knuckles, Subaru stuff.
Yes. Probably gonna go with the later model. Figure out what model Subaru hubs have the bolt hub, full hub assembly. Make some 1/4-inch plate rear knuckles, and if I can, I'll do it to where I can use the upper and lower vet control arms, because that would be just handy all around. If not, I will use Uniballs and make control arms. I'll do a video on that if it comes to that. Yep. As Biden said, come back to me.
Come back to me on that. Will you just shut up, man?
I lost it.
Will you just shut up, man? It's a joke.
Someone said that fly on Pence was actually Biden's mom.
No, you know what that is? That's the forewarning fly. That fly is a medium.
Oh, is it Mothman?
lands? No, it lands on whoever's gonna lose. Like it landed on Hillary last year, or last 4 years.
JoJo 2020. Yeah.
No one 2020.
Giant meteor. Yellowstone 2020.
We don't deserve to live anymore, man.